In the second assignment from 511, this was page 228, 31 to 47 odds. This was from Wednesday. Let's take a look at these odd number examples, how to arrive at your answer. Starting at number 31. What you've got is 100, 4x squared, 16y to the second, and 40x. And let's find out how to do this. Now remember, if you can pull out anything in common, to go ahead and do that. And I see a factor of 4 that can be pulled out of everything. So when you do that, you're left with 25 plus, that didn't work out for me, 25 plus x squared minus 4y to the second minus 10x. Alright, now once you have factored out everything that's in common, what to do next is go ahead and get that thing in a proper order that will make it helpful for you. Since you got 25, an x squared, a 4y squared, and an x, what I want you to be able to see is that the x terms in the 25 will make a trinomial, but you have to put them in the correct order first. So let me put that in order. And since the negative 4y squared is there, I'm going to put negative 4y squared at the far end on the right side. Now that 4, making a mess here. That 4 is going to hover outside of each step of your problem. I want to start out with my x squared, and then put my 10x in there, my negative 10x, and my positive 25, and then I'll put minus 4y squared at the end. And that needs to be a closed bracket. Alright, now let me go up here. I'm going to start with a 4. I'm going to start with that bracket again. I'm going to factor the x squared minus 10x plus 25 into two binomials. So that's going to be x and x. And it's both going to be minus 5. And for now, I'm just going to leave the minus 4y squared the way it is. This sets up a difference of two squares. This is a square, and this is a square. One will be plus, one will be minus, with a 4 out in front. So this part of it, let me highlight this so I can show you what's going on. This will come from the latter part of those two parentheses. And 4y squared will give you 2y and 2y when you factor it. And since it's difference of two squares, there's no middle term. One will be plus, one will be minus. Since you have x minus 5 twice, one of them goes here and the other one will go here. And there's nothing to distribute here since x minus 5 is first. So you have arrived at your answer. This is factored completely for number 31. Now the next one is number 33. Again, you have a difference of two squares. You have a squared times a squared here, and you have b squared times b squared to give you b to the fourth. So as soon as you recognize difference of two squares, just go ahead and set those up as the parentheses. You have a squared and a squared. Difference of two squares, you know, one will be plus and one will be minus. And you have b squareds at the end. Now you know now that the a squared plus b squared, that cannot be factored. But a squared minus b squared can be factored. Again, that's another difference of two squares. So I'm going to go ahead and take that to another step. The a squared plus b squared is going to stay in your problem. And then a squared minus b squared can factor down further to a plus b, a minus b. And that's your last step. You just have to catch that second level of factoring once you get to this part of your problem. And number 35, you have PQ, you have PR, you have a Q, and you have an R. Now, if you're trying to find a trinomial, what you would need if you had a Q squared and an R squared and a trinomial is a QR as a middle term, and I don't have a QR, so don't worry about trying to make a trinomial out of it. What you want to look at is factor by grouping. Meaning I want to make this, and I want to make this into something I can factor, and hopefully I get a same result out of these terms when I factor them. So factor out what's in common down here. Both of these terms in the first pair have a 2, and they both have p, leaving you with q plus r. And if you're thinking ahead on this, this is a difference in two squares, just like the a squared minus b squared was here, meaning that becomes q plus r, q minus r. And as soon as you find something that's in common between the first half and the last half of the problem, in this case q plus r, then you know you found the right solution step. So put what's in common, which is q plus r. That takes care of these, and then write what's left. And you have 2p plus q minus r. Nothing can be combined or simplified. Nothing needs to be multiplied out. So you are done at that step for number 35. All right, moving to your next one, 37. Now avoid the impulse to multiply this out. That'll just create you work and it won't get you anywhere. When you're looking at 37, what I want you to be able to see is that's actually a difference of two squares problem. This is a square, and this is a square with a minus in the middle. So when I factor that, here's what it's going to look like. I'm going to give myself lots of room to work with this. A plus b times a plus b is just like this. The minus, here's where I'm at, right in the middle. That's the difference of two squares is plus and then minus. And at the end you have a minus c to the second power. So that's an a minus c here and another a minus c here. Now where this is going to be different than the other problems that we've done is you have to distribute that negative out to the a and the c down here. I want to combine any like terms. So let's get rid of parentheses. A plus b plus a minus c is your first set, and your second set is a plus b minus a plus c. So in this first set I have a plus a giving me 2a, and then plus b plus, so it's minus c. Let's erase that. Right, so that becomes 2a plus b minus c as your first parenthesis. And then your second set, you have an a minus a. Those cancel. All you have left is b plus c. And you cannot go further. And number 39. You have three terms that contain x. You have three terms that contain y. But you don't have any chance to make a trinomial out of that. So let's try grouping. Now this was a minus right here, meaning that this plus, when I group that, needs to turn to a minus. Don't forget that step. Out of your first binomial, I can factor out x to the second power, which leaves me with x minus y. In my second set, I can factor out a y to the second power, which leaves me x minus y. And that's exactly what we want to have happen. We want to have the same thing. In this case, it's the x minus y in both first and second term. Right, so that worked out perfectly. Now on here, once you do your factor by grouping step and you put what's in common and put what's left, you're not done yet. The x squared minus y squared is another difference of two squares, so that's a very common theme in this section, which becomes x plus y, x minus y. Now since you have two x minus y's, you can rewrite that x minus y to the second power times x plus y. And that is your factored, your factored completely step there. All right, let's see how much time we've got. We've got about 5 minutes left of recording time. So let's go on and do 41 on this one. On 41, you've got factor by grouping already set up. You have an a minus 3 in common in both sets. So you already know how to start. Again, you never start multiplying out. Don't make that mistake. Once I take that a minus 3 out of both terms, then what I'm going to do is put what's left in my other parenthesis. When you have a and a here and a and 2 here, that's when you go ahead and multiply out. A times a plus 2 is a squared plus 2a, now minus 8. Here is a factorable trinomial. The a minus 3 just hangs out in front. And then factor a, you need to use a plus 4 and a minus 2. A little sloppy, but you can figure it out from there. So your answer is a minus 3, a plus 4, a minus 2. Now the order of these binomials as you're doing all these problems, if you are doing that to where maybe a minus 2 is in front of a plus 4, it doesn't matter. You can switch the order of those. Number 43, you have 16 in common, so make sure you always pull out common factors first. That's what you end up with once you pull 16 out. Now, at this point, 16 is just going to hang out in front of everything. C to the 16th power. It's a big exponent compared to the other problems, but you can handle that. That's c to the 8th times c to the 8th, and we have a difference of 2 squares problem. Now, it's important to realize you cannot touch c to the 8th plus 1. There's no way of further factoring that. So what I'm going to do is just stretch this one out step by step until I get to my answer. C to the 8th is c to the 4th times c to the 4th, and we have another difference of 2 squares problem with a plus and a minus. Again, I can't touch this, just like I couldn't touch this. It's a plus. I need to keep track of that 16, but I can go a step further with r to the 4th minus 1, making that r to the 2nd, and that's a plus 1 minus 1 difference of 2 squares problem. I can't touch r squared minus 1, but I can take r squared minus 1 down one more step to r times r, and it's another difference of 2 squares, plus 1 minus 1. So I've got that as part of my answer. Let me start highlighting things so I don't lose track of where I'm at. I'm going to need 16 c to the 8th plus 1, c to the 4th plus 1, r squared plus, that's a c. I write so poorly my c turned to an r. So all these will be c's. So let's rewrite that. Your answer is 16 c to the 8th plus 1. I'm going to put c to the 4th plus 1 next. And then my c that turned to an r plus 1. And then I'll put r plus, no, it's c. Why do I keep doing that? And then c minus 1 there. And so that's every part of my problem. That's my entire answer. Make sure that you don't write as sloppy as I do, and keep all the same letter in the problem. All right, that's how that works out. Now, time-wise, we're at 13 and a half minutes. I have a 15-minute max, so I'm going to go ahead and do 45 and 47 in another short video following this one, and then we'll move on to the challenge section after that.